So here we are on another GC9X Plays. I'm joined by Snarboo and nobody else. We're recording this pretty late. And we're going to be looking at another Shono Haruhiko game.
Haruhiko, I think.
That's... Yeah.
Shono Haruhiko?
I'm not going to be able to pronounce this.
Haruhiko?
Yes. Shono is a very well-known, in Japan, pioneer of 3D graphics, and he did Alice, an interactive museum, and I will pop a link somewhere to that somewhere. Probably down the bottom, who cares? You're not going to click it. He also did Gadget, Past is Future, and that's a pretty cool game as well. I'm not a big fan of that as the other two, because I think that one's kind of a missed clone, but not quite, and then it doesn't feel as interesting. But it's still well worth playing, and you can even get it on the iPhone in the most bizarre cross-media thing, where they're like, you know what? Let's release an adventure game from 1993 on the iPhone.
That's not actually unusual at all. A lot of games have had re-releases on the iPhone for some reason, I guess because it's just such a popular device.
It's so strange, because they didn't bother to report it to, you know, the PC sometimes. Like, a lot of these games were exclusively ported to the iPhone during this one brief surge of iPhone interest. Anyway, here it is. We've got my lovely desktop. You don't see the bottom of it because I cut it out. But I'm going to load up the game. It's not going to involve clicking on the disk. I'm going to load it up in the start menu. Actually, maybe the README will work. Let's try the README first. Oh, no, it's just it's not like the Alice README. It's one of these WordPad READMEs.
Oh, well. Yeah. I remember those.
README. Do not do the following. This is very important. Unnecessary use of the keyboard. Just don't do it. Don't unnecessarily use the keyboard.
Shifting the
Otherwise, you won't be able to enjoy L-Zone. Yeah, shifting background program.
I guess this is before multitasking was a thing.
Well, a lot of games still struggle with that. You know, when you Alt Tab and then they're like, no, I'm dead now.
They're a little bit better about that. A little bit.
Yeah, sometimes they are, especially ones that have like sort of a semi-windowed mode. But you know, if you're having trouble set up, make sure you have 3 MB drive space. Oh, I love seeing those numbers because I'm just like, wow, that used to mean something, and it did. All right, so we're gonna hit L-Zone, and I'm gonna be a little quiet because it has like a cool little intro ditty. Because this guy not only is good at 3D, but pretty good at kind of industrial music composition. So, Synergy, same company that published the others.
That was the most 90s intro I've ever seen. Like, I'm really hoping that when a bunch of 90s kids become 30-somethings, and then they start taking over the entertainment industry, that they start injecting this sort of weirdness back into media. I would appreciate that greatly.
This is a really freaking cool, like, title screen thing. I love this whole thing. It's just,
Yeah, this is really cool.
Right on the money. Yeah, it's great. And the ambient music track in the back, wonderful.
I like the spinning cube, or the spinning dash, rather, that separates L and Zone.
Okay, well that's enough for this one. It's gonna move a little quick, because it's a bit hard to get this to run at a comfortable speed.
Oh, it's one of those games? Okay, I gotcha.
Like, kind of no matter what you do, if
you actually do go up on the
down,
scaffolding, or the thing. I was gonna ask if you actually could walk up it, and yes, you can.
No, basically, if you slow down parts of it, it breaks other parts of it, so this is kind of the happiest medium I can get.
Right. It's very timing sensitive.
Yeah, so it's better this way than another way. As you can tell, this is no hotspots. This game was released just barely before Myst. Just barely. Or was it not quite just barely? It was released just after Myst, I believe, in the US, but it was released before Myst in Japan. So
Yeah, it says
That's the sort of time frame we're looking
it
at.
says L-Zone was released in 92. I believe Myst was actually 91, believe it or not. That one was really early. Yeah, Myst was... actually, no, Myst...
with the release years.
Myst was 93, the same year as Doom.
Yes.
So, there we go.
And this was 92, but I believe the Western release for this was 93 as well.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the situations where they were like, hey, Myst is popular. Let's quickly get a game out. And this game existed, so they released this one nice and quick.
What was that Macintosh game that actually preceded Myst? It was like Starship something or other? I'm trying to remember the name of it. Yeah, tunnel sequence.
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt that sequence because that is a cool sequence.
Right, I gotcha. But what I was gonna ask is
it was the Starship. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Was it Starship? Wasn't Warlock or something? Was it? It had
Starship
like
Warlock. I can look that up really quick. I believe that is what it was, and it was an early Macintosh. What you might call it, multimedia
that
thing.
Beat this game. It beat a lot of games. So the plot to this game is you're just sort of in the L zone, and you're just trying to restart like the systems or something. I don't know how much of the plot was actually translated from the Japanese version, because it seems like, for the most part, they didn't really bother keeping the stories, because there's not much written language in the game, so I think that they just kind of didn't bother to translate anything, and just rolled with it. So yeah, this is just me clicking on things. Yeah, I mean, like, there's not that much that you actually can do in this. It's mostly just clicking around, trying to trigger whatever hotspots.
What were those things called? Interactive toys?
Yeah, a lot of it feels like an interactive toy. You just kind of click things. But it's very early to the extent that it has, like Alice, it has no memory. It doesn't remember anything that you've done.
Oh. So, does that mean there are even puzzles to solve, or are you just clicking on things?
There are puzzles, but they're straight through puzzles.
You have to solve them right then and there, I take it?
Yes, and I'll show some off, because we'll have to get to them.
Right.
But yeah, you just get a lot of these, like, noise machines that are really cool. And I'll just lead us through some more of these rooms. If we do it right, there's like a keyboard or something that you can access bits and pieces.
Cinescope, or whatever those are called. Or not cinescope, I forget, oscilloscope, there you go. Now, I looked it up, it's actually Spaceship Warlock. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Right. Fortunately, none of this is really dynamic. It's all preset stuff. It's not like it can do a synthesizer in real time or anything, which is a bit of a shame.
Right.
because it just means that you're just sort of summoning up sounds that exist in the system.
Well, I mean, given that
Like,
this
you've
is the
got this cool
90s, I mean,
keyboarding.
this is basically must be like, well, I guess it would be the Japanese equivalent of HyperCard. I have no idea what system this was made on, if it was all programmed by by Scratch or whatever.
Yeah, I'm trying to click the right button to act the sounds. This is a weird one. You basically plug in the device and then you find the one key that activates the sound. It's, it's just fun to goof around in the L zone. But we'll
See,
keep
this is
walking
another
through.
sort of game I could see them remaking in real time. Like a lot of these games,
in real time.
yeah, a lot of these you could just do. You could port it to Unity if they still have the assets, which I bet you nobody doesn't have them. So I bet you nobody has
Some of
them.
these
Rather.
assets are probably lost to time.
Which is kind of a shame, because again, if you have something like this, I mean, as long as the there aren't too many well, actually, it might actually be harder to convert than I realized, because they might have done it using quads or some other sort of system, because there's different ways of rendering 3D objects. I mean, most games use
It's fine.
triangles.
You can tessellate things very easily.
Right. I will say that there do seem to be a lot of polygons, though. Even now, this may be just too much. It's not so much the textures that are a problem. I mean, none of these have textures. They're just using pretty much just colored geometry, but there still could just be a lot of wasted polygons and whatnot that would make it inconceivable or too difficult for it to run in real time.
I wouldn't worry too much.
Right.
Most of this is probably, to reach a decent rendering speed in 1991, this couldn't have been too complicated. Like, not more than, you can handle today. On a decent system. As you've probably noticed, a lot of the times, things that you can interact with are just rapidly blinking lights. Sometimes you can interact with them, sometimes you can't. Sometimes it's just a random piece of the environment that you can click. If you're into these sort of, like, as we said, interactive toy, gadgety sort of things, it's a lot of fun just to try and mess around with whatever the various options are.
Now, is there an end game here? Is there like so many rooms and then you reach an end, quote unquote?
I'm gonna try and get to that.
Okay.
Not that it's too difficult, but there's, I'm trying to make sure I click some things, because there's some really cool multimedia MTV weird video soundscape things. Let's see.
It's funny seeing this. I've never played this before. I don't know if I've heard about it until you brought it up recently, but this is actually making me very nostalgic, because I remember playing a bunch of games that were either just interactive toys like this, or they were basically pre-rendered things you just walk through and do, solve puzzles in or whatever. Oh, hey, a Terrigen landscape.
Is this pre-Terrigen, I think?
Might have been, actually. I'm not sure.
Because they used a similar Terrigen in Alice. So I think this must be some particular thing that they...
Right, there's been different
together.
implementations and solutions for that for ages. It could be something much older than Terrigen.
This one, I guess the closest game I can think of to this game, kind of semi-modern, is Cairo.
I could maybe see that, yeah. I still need to play that one. I forget if I have a copy of it or not.
It's well worth playing. Because, this is like, are you on a colony? Are you in a space station? What are you doing? What is all this crap that's happening on the screen?
Now, I seem to remember the Independence Day toys came with, like, little mission discs that were basically this. It was slightly less sophisticated, because they could only fit so much on a 3.5-inch floppy, or 3 1/4. Forget what the exact size was. I think it was 3.5-inch or whatever.
Yeah, the 3 1/4, I think. Yes, those I do have those. They're not as complicated, which kind of lets them down. Like,
Right.
they would be a single room in this, and it's not substantial enough.
I think a couple had some interesting mini games. I think the most interesting one was the one that came with the alien commander mothership or whatever it was. I had that toy and I had that game that came with it, and it took me forever to figure out what to do in that one, because it's like there's like this galaxy you can explore and send ships to, and then eventually you send one to Earth, and then you get
the one
blown
that you're
up.
finding Earth.
Yes.
Those ones are the most interesting ones because those were like they had to work out the alien tech and stuff.
Right. What's interesting about that, though, is that it's almost like the opposite of like more modern things like Skylanders. Instead of a toy coming with a game, you know, as a bonus, it's the other way around. It's a game that's enhanced by a toy.
Yes.
I'm surprised there aren't standalone things like there's Skylanders. They want you to buy into the whole toy line and whatnot, but I could easily see something like the Independence Day thing coming around again.
You know,
Where
I've
it's like
seen
a standalone
toys that
thing.
have done that occasionally, yeah. Or they come with codes that let you play games online and stuff. Like,
Right, yeah.
It's mostly that there's no reason to have pack-in discs anymore, considering that, you know, it's like, just go online
Right,
and
it's
download
completely
it or whatever.
pointless.
That's a great button. How do I turn off the vomiting frog noise? Shit.
It sounds like a frog with bad gas, actually. He had a little too many bean burritos. Or a few too many, rather.
Ugh. I couldn't work out the machine. Oh god, why did I do it again? Stop.
Clearly, you like the fart box.
Forget that machine. We'll go to the angry beeping machine. How do I open the door? There we go. Let's try yellow. No, let's try blue. Let's try green. Let's try clicking the handle again. That's what we needed to do. Yes. The sensory deprivation chamber. Perfect.
So is this going to be like altered states? You're going to come out of it and you're going to be like a monkey man or something?
It's just more of the, like... It's all gonna be multimedia, and it's... I don't know, this is the kind of thing that they would have said, like, now they would say, like, it's creepypasta or something, where it's like, what is it doing? Is it making you insane? Sort of deal.
Yeah, you know, it's funny, a lot of these games are structured much like modern creepypasta. I found this weird disc, I had this weird game on it, and I couldn't figure it out, and then I died. The end. But imagine stumbling upon something like this as a kid, like your parents had this and you install it and it's like, it's just this. This would probably be very frightening. So I can understand that as a basis for, like, say, a creepypasta or something.
Well, see, if actual creepypasta games were this interesting, they would be a lot better.
Right.
There's this one, like, kind of interesting one that I've been following from, Obscure Horror Games or something. It's a little YouTube guy website thing that has some interesting videos, which I'll put a link to that down somewhere as well, which he highlights a couple of actually somewhat interesting looking games. But yeah, this is the sensory deprivation room. The only shame I have with this is that it's such a small window and the video is so compressed.
Right, it's the sensory deprivation, or compressed sensory deprivation chamber.
Yeah, it's so tiny. You can click it to get out of it. I'm sure it loops. And I think there's several, at least there's two, I think, little movies you can watch. And we can... I like all the I like this game because it has a lot of doors. I love games that have doors that open in various ways. Okay, so here's one of the first puzzles. You have to get this little device, turn it on, activate the color, and then burn through the door locks so that you can continue. And
in case of locked door, burn off the hinges.
Yeah, it's not the best. But, like, so that puzzle is all linear, so that you can't screw it up, essentially.
Right. If you came back here, would you have to cut through the door again?
You can't go backwards.
Okay.
That's basically it. Surprisingly, you can go backwards in this area, but it doesn't make any sense, because the start of this area, you power up this generator computer thing.
Yeah, those are clearly like Tesla foils or whatever.
Yeah. Man, if you're a fan of this kind of weird cyber future tech, again, it's a really cool game. Because, you know, you don't actually have to power it up since it'll power itself up automatically because there's no, there's only one way through it, so if it's activated, it has to be activated, kind of deal.
Right. Huh, a robot.
Yes, the robot. I like the robot. He's great. I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if you can activate or not activate the robot. I don't know. I think you have to continue.
Oh, it looks like a Diggle from, whatchamacallit? Dungeons of Dreadmore.
I think he is breaking the sound of the game a little bit. I don't believe that's correct. I don't think it should be popping like that. But obviously
yeah, that's definitely not supposed to be doing that.
My sound is not perfect. Sorry about that, but can't really fix it.
You are trying to run a multimedia game from, what, the early 90s? It's definitely going to have problems.
I think
especially if it
right
was
on
like
XP.
for Windows.
If you set it up right, I think it works on XP. It's just a little tricky.
Right, yeah.
This is the globule machine. Which,
Seeing this reminds me that they actually made a game based off of Rama that was a misclone, so I'll have to check that out at some point, because I read the first couple books in that series. It's kind of interesting.
It does not like this area. I'm getting out of this area, because it was really damaging the system. Throw
The sound,
switch.
you mean? Or, whoa, hello.
It was lagging the mouse a bit, so forget that area. We're gonna keep going. And then we'll go into the, like, not quarantine, the cleaning room. Okay, and now this bit is confusing. Can I open this door? Yes, okay. Sweet. Forget that door. Close it. Why is green closed door? I hate Japan.
They probably just did that to be weird on purpose, if I had to guess. Is
So
this like a spaceship or something that you need to take off in?
No, it's like a robot thing that you get to control.
Okay. Why are there so many buttons? What could all of these buttons possibly do?
They don't do anything. Like, can only interact like 3. So the point of this machine is you are loading these drums, I believe is what do. You can do it. It doesn't affect the game, as I said, but, you know, if loading drums is your thing, there you go. I'm not gonna do any more of that. I got trapped in this room once because I couldn't work out how to leave. I think it's supposed to be like a production line, and then you've got all these machines here. And you get to load the pods into the system. Stuff happens, okay? This game is very much stuff happens, and then it...
But then when it doesn't happen, then you know you've done something right.
I think we're supposed to load all of the
pods in there? Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah. Although again, since I think you can skip, because none of these are really puzzles, they're just interactive things that you can dick around with. Since most of the time you can just walk away. Okay. But if you do it right, I guess you get rewarded with the ability to click on things and do things. So that's kind of fun. You can seal all the machines, load all of the drums, and And then you get to play this whole mini game here, which is just kind of more clicking numbers. Maybe it means something to someone else, but it's just binary. It's probably meaningless.
And then actually saying bad things about your mother.
I think the way this one works is you are combining elements, and then it shows you the end result of your combined elements.
Yeah.
You know? It's the kind of thing that is a puzzle, but not a puzzle because this game doesn't have puzzles.
Well, if this had been more of a traditional adventure game, I almost would be certain that you'd have to create the right bloboform to get past the blob generator. You need the blob key to get past the blob door.
Yeah. Rather than it's just kind of a side diversion that lets you do fun things. And then you get to take the bullet. So let's get in the bullet. Sweet.
You know, I wonder, did they ever make a Willy Wonka
No,
game
we're
like
in
this? I could totally have seen that at some point. Seems like the most...
No, but I think they made a McDonald's game
Ah, yeah,
like
I can
this.
see that.
I can't find the disc that I had of it, but they released a McDonald's game which was like, you got to click around and visit different lands, and you met all the McDonald's characters. If anyone has a copy of that...
I'm currently looking that up, actually. I'm looking up McDonald's licenses.
It's like an FMV McDonald's
There's
game.
a newer one, but this doesn't seem to be a licensed game at all, is it? I can't tell.
No, I would put like 95,
Right, this is way
96
too new
as the
then.
release year, if I had to.
For some reason, this is listed under McDonald's license games, despite the fact that it's... Is it actually an advertising tie-in product? Oh, it came with some Happy Meals. Okay, it was a Happy Meal game. I'm looking at this one. But yeah, there was a bunch of weird stuff like this. I was actually reading a retrospective on Spaceship Warlock, and they were talking about how just the sheer novelty of the game, just being able to click on things and have stuff happen and have characters poke out and talk to you, was more than enough for audiences of the time. That alone was all they needed for a game to carry itself. It's kind of interesting, especially when compared to today, when our demands have just gone up and up and up. Like, this sort of thing would just never pass muster. Not unless it was, like, real time or something. And even then.
I think it's fine for this to be real time, but, I mean, this game has a lot of, like, neat little stuff to play around with. So yeah, what I'm doing at the moment is some sort of weapons testing system.
I noticed, yeah, you popped out like a rocket launcher.
Weapon, one that looks...
Alright, let's shoot the weird...
Yeah, this is...
Whoa, hello.
Poor robot.
Are they arming the robot, or are they going to shoot him with those things?
They're shooting the fuck out of the robot.
Oh no. Hopefully it's just like a crash test dummy or something.
Poor robot. I hope they didn't, you know, program the robot to feel pain. Like, why would you do that?
There was a KC Green comic like that, or
people.
Gun Show Comics comic like that. It's like, hey, I made this machine, and all I can do is scream. And then someone asks him why, and he's like, I don't know. I'll have to dig that one up. It's a lot funnier when you see it, obviously, because a lot of comics is visual comedic timing. It's almost impossible to convey with words.
So this is another puzzle. You try and leave the door, and it gets bitchy, so you have to go put on the robot suit.
So you can be blown up by the weaponry?
You get the cool... I hope not. It does this really cool robot suit log-on system. That's very neat. And then once you're in the robot suit, you can open the door. Maybe it's the wrong side. Let me go the right way. Yeah, this is the right way.
Wow, I would
It's
not
just
want to be
cool
stuck
little
in this suit for very long, 'cause this is kind of awkward.
It's got like a cool little map and everything. I don't think this way goes anywhere. Does it?
This is like Doom or something. That's kind of weird.
one
It's
way.
even using pre-rendered backgrounds. Like, Eye of the Beholder or something there.
Yeah, and it's a very short segment because you get out of the robot suit after you clear it. Or at least you remove the robot suit
Maybe
helmet.
it's like a reactor or something and you need to have a suit. Well, remove the top part of the helmet
And you get to click more stuff. Yeah. There's less stuff going on. I can't skip this screen that I've opened. It's just gonna do whatever it's doing.
Just trying to show you where the nearest Starbucks is and getting deeply confused by that fact, given they're almost everywhere.
Not in Australia.
Right, that's an American thing, I'm almost certain, purely.
They opened a shed load of stores here and they failed dramatically.
I don't know how they managed to do that here either. I mean, there was that one Daily Show segment where, like, was it Jack Black? I forget the guy's name. He was talking about how there was a Starbucks across the street from another Starbucks. He couldn't fathom why that is.
Well, I mean, it's not because it's because their coffee is bad, personal opinion. But Australians were used to a different, you could argue, superior form of coffee. So they were, Starbucks doesn't taste nice. Why would I go there?
Yeah, I remember I had a
okay, don't click that.
When I took German in high school, the German teacher, she was telling us that American coffee is a very burnt taste compared to German coffee, and she didn't understand why we served it the way we did. She's like, why does American coffee taste so bad?
It's not even like proper coffee is not nearly popular in America. As far as I understand, getting good coffee in America is a challenge.
It's probably not a challenge. You just have to know what brand to get or whatever. We tend to go with instant coffee and whatnot, and a lot of that kind of stuff. You get it in cans and that sort of thing. So the quality of the coffee can't be that high if it's dehydrated and packed into a can.
Well, I mean, like, to actually get a decent coffee served to you.
Oh, right. You could probably, you can definitely make a nice cup of coffee. Getting it served, debatable.
I'm sorry we had to watch this again, but once I clicked the machine again, it wouldn't let me unclick the machine, so...
Is that like a StarCraft?
I swear I won't click the machine again.
Or spaceship?
It's some kind of blowing up a hole in the thing machine. Alright, come on. Alright, do not click the machine again. Phew, we got away from the machine. No problem.
Yeah, look at this huge crater you just made. You made it twice, because you're dumb.
Now there's
two holes in the earth and they hate you.
You get this cool, like, again, really cool readouts. I do think these were supposed to be slower, but, it breaks if I try and change it, so we just have to, roll with it. Just go with the flow. It shows you, like, some cool stuff. And, I'm gonna have to do something real quick. I have to save the game. You can save the file as a TXT.
That probably just gives you your location in the room or whatever. That's literally all you'd have to do. It's given you, it's like you said, you can't go backwards, or it's like the puzzle's reset. It doesn't save anything other than your location.
Yes, that's more or less the most likely thing to do. So I can come back here later, but we're walking backwards here. It won't let us turn around until now, but that's cool. It's a nice, cool golden room. It's very pretty. I think we gotta open one of these. Yes. You have to somehow break it open or something. And it's the dead robot room with the ceilings. Poor dead robot. We hardly knew you. Very depressing. Dead robots are so sad.
This is weird. You're like in Scrooge McDuck's money vault, and yet there's like a bunch of ceiling fans. This is just weird. You'd think they'd use actual industrial fans rather than cheap little ceiling fans, but whatever. I'm getting flashbacks to Robot Jocks for some reason with this. I can't say why.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Now that's a movie you should definitely watch if you haven't before. I don't know if it's on any streaming service, actually.
Well, don't oversell it.
Well,
the whole Empire Pictures Full Moon deal is very strange, trying to get them, like, license-wise. Like, they go for this, like, premium pricing model, even though their movies are complete trash.
Do they even still exist as an entity outside of, like, holding the licenses to those movies? Are they still making movies?
Charles Band still makes movies, and he will continue to make movies until he dies. His latest movie, I believe, was Evil Bong versus the Universe 420. Like, that's seriously, like, that's the name. Like,
yes, I am familiar with the Evil Bong movies. I know there's a couple of them, and as well as one that's a crossover with the Ginger Dead Man. Was it Evil Bong versus the Ginger Dead Man or something? I saw the cover for that. It was something else.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, these are them's the breaks.
I like how you picked up the environment suit from Quake and just dived right into whatever this is. Could be
I do like that
radioactive
they used FMV for water, so it looks quite nice.
Yeah.
And then you've exposed the machine.
But then it's like that scene
No,
in Maniac Mansion where you drain the pool and it just causes a nuclear explosion.
Oh, it's a teleport machine if I remember correctly.
Why was it underwater, I wonder? Oh yeah, it's going all 2001 on you. Oh, sweet 90s techno.
Watch the tiny window. Oh crap, I pressed it. I went backwards. Oh no. I'm unnecessarily using the keyboard, but it's not helping. Well, we're gonna have to watch this a third time in order to get back there. Damn you, why would you let me go backwards?
So what do they mean by unnecessarily using the keyboard? It's like, are there buttons that'll just exit out of the program? Is it like hitting Alt F4 or something?
I think you hit enough keys enough times, it would overload the computers. You know, it wouldn't be able to process all the inputs, so it would just sort of lock up.
Yeah, I could see that actually.
Right, there's a door here. What is this like? Where does this door go? Is it a secret door? I want to go to the secret door. Give me the secret door. Oh, maybe I broke it.
Oh no.
Right. Okay.
You weren't supposed to teleport
because
backwards?
No, you might actually supposed to be teleporting backwards, but since I clicked away from the door, it sent me back to the before you teleported tile card.
Oh.
If that makes sense, you know.
Yeah.
Because I didn't go through the door, so it's like, well, screw you then, you didn't go through the door. So we go back through the teleporter. Yeah, I can't do the music. I'm sorry, I'm not a trained musicer.
I believe the technical term is music engineer. A musicologist.
What, like, collegist? Alright. Alright, let's not accidentally teleport. Alright, if I click to the very side... Yes, I did it. I managed not to port. Alright, we did it. We can go through this cool door.
Oh wow, look at all that bump mapping all over the environment. It's almost like I'm playing a mid-2000s game all over again. This is, you know what reminds me of, this room? It reminds me of the Starship Troopers game, because it was totally like that. It just had bump mapping on everything, and it was terrible. But the game itself was okay.
Yeah, but the game was fine.
I mean the first-person shooter. There was a strategy game, and there may have been another Starship Troopers game after that I'm not aware of.
those two games are actually both quite good, although the FPS takes a lot of getting used to.
It's a very weird game, yes.
So,
no, does that one run on
basically
Windows
works,
7?
But it's...
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I've never tried to run it on Windows 7.
Oh, okay.
It's a game that doesn't really work, but it manages to work despite the fact that it shouldn't.
I see what you're saying.
This is the floating cube thingy room. You can't do anything with it. As far as I know, it just appears and disappears, so that's not helpful. Thanks. Thanks, floating cubey thing. Look outside. Yeah, it's kind of like you're on the Death Star now, which is probably deliberate. Alright. There's nowhere to go here. So you're naturally drawn back to the eyeball lens, walk through the landscape, teleport back, go through the cutscene again. That's 4th time. I hate you all. It's actually, I really like the, whatever effects that they have used with this shifting cube gradient to sort of make that really cool. Sort of chroma distortion.
It's like those, visual plugins you get in your media player when people actually still use them for that purpose. That's something that's actually kind of died that I miss is with the visualizers. Nowadays, you don't just listen to music.
And that's it. Where we left the L zone.
Huh. So that was the end of the game. Weird.
Yes?
If you turn back, do you just go back into the facility, or...?
Yes. That's the end of the L zone, as far as I know. So I'll quickly load the, save we made, because that was very deliberate. Let's find the name of the game. Well, hopefully it's in here. It doesn't show up, but I think if we type the exact name, it'll find it. Save. Okay. Maybe it doesn't create, Oh wait, no, this is the D drive. Oh, was it trying to save on the D drive? And it... Oh man. I think it tried to save. No wait, I think it tried to save an L zone. Let me check here.
Yeah, that's where I thought you had saved it.
No, it didn't save it.
You didn't save it?
No, it's not there. It's not. Okay, the save game didn't work, but that's fine. Here we are, we're back at the box. Oh yes, the box.
Oh, right, you didn't open this the last time.
Yes. But this time we will open the box. Here we go. If you've ever seen a movie before, you might be sort of wondering, you might sort of be figuring out what the box must contain.
Wait, they literally stole this from a movie, I'm pretty sure. I swear I've seen this sort of nuke in a briefcase thing with the launch codes, and you have to do all this crazy crap to activate it.
And there we go. As far as I know, the only way to beat L Zone.
Well, that's weird. You can do all this other stuff, but there's a random bomb in the game if you set it off. Well, you get the credits.
Yes. So that's L Zone. Yeah, that outro is actually slower if you slow down your computer a bit. It kind of breaks other things, so you gotta pick your fights on this. I'm not gonna do it again. But yeah, that was L Zone. Pretty much the whole L Zone, really. There's not terribly more in there. There's some other things that you can click on some little movies and stuff, but yeah, it's a weird little adventure game. I do say little, but you know, it was kind of somewhat of a big deal when it came out, at least in Japan. I don't know how popular it was in Japan, but the actual creative was very well regarded, and it is kind of a pioneering 3D pre-rendered game, because it did beat Myst to release, so you know, in that regard, pretty cool. I hope you enjoyed it, or found it at least moderately interesting. I really like this game a lot. It's not quite as much as Alice, because I find Alice just so strange, whereas this is a bit more reasonable. It's just a thing. I'd never found out what the L zone was. I mean, is the ending of the game you blow up the L zone? Who knows? Who cares? Enjoy the music. Yeah, welcome to the L zone.
And then the sequel to D Zone, or rather the adult spin-off. The hentai doujin of L Zone, the D Zone. Did any of these weird little electronic toys or games get that sort of thing? Like, I would love to think that there's a Miss Doujin out there. It's like they have to solve puzzles before they can have sex.